about time now that I started playing about with the buttons. There are my multitude of babus. I'm going to get rid of these and get rid of the flashing LED, modify this first demo again, and write a program to sense the buttons and actually begin to write a little game. Just saying, if you're new to my channel, I appreciate everyone subscribing of late. It seems that these little displays and me talking about it is popular, so thank you for that. But anyway, so today it's going to be playing with the buttons and making a rudimentary game, but I'm still just going to use this demo code from previously. So let's just do a save as to start with, and I'll save it to my Pi. Oops, I can't when the program's running, of course. So file, save as, Raspberry Pi, and I'm going to call it buttons game. Okay, so taking this first bit as we go. So what I'm going to do for this, first of all, is I'm going to get rid of the amount of these babus that are going around the screen, and I'm actually going to modify it and change it so that it is just the ball to begin with. So let's just go back to the bit where I displayed babu, and I'm going to get rid of that to start with and just put this circle back on. So let's just run this to check that I've now got circles. Okay, all right, so that's the ball. Now every time I want to use this ball code that's already there, and this ball code obviously creates 100 balls, so I actually just want to do one ball for this. Now I could take this out of the ball array, but I don't want to for various reasons, so let's just stop that, run that. So I should now have one ball that's bouncing around, and actually that's a bit dull. Let me do it again because it is random, isn't it? Let's do random different sizes. All right, so let's change this so it is, I don't know, let's just say it's 155, and I'm going to take the random out because I want the balls to all be the same color, or the ball to be one color. So has that got a clearer ball on the screen? Yeah, okay, so there you go, just a little blue ball flying around. And I'm going to get rid of the flashing light because it's distracting. I don't need that now. So let's get rid of that. And really, to make this go as fast as well, so if I do that, that should just get rid of the thing. I've not actually, it's still updating that, but it's just setting it up as black 000. I may as well get rid of the sleep while I'm at it, so let's get rid of that sleep. In fact, I'll just comment it out. Okay, so there we go. And obviously the ball goes in a different direction each time, every time I run it, and a different speed, and sometimes different angles. Quite cool, isn't it? All right, but that's just basically one version of the original code that they gave us with my modifications for blue. All right, so remember here, up here was this ball class. What I'm going to do, now I don't really need a class for this because I'm only ever going to have one of them, but I'm going to create a bat class. All right, so I'm copying all of that and paste that there. So let's call it bat, and the only position I'm going to need for the bat is a Y position. So let's get rid of everything else. And just leave the bat class as Y. All right, so Y is the position. It gets a bit confusing as X and Y because of the way the screen's set up, but just for the moment, we'll just call it the Y position. And I've got one ball. Now that initializes the shapes. If I've initialized the shapes, I also need to initialize the bat. So I'll go bat equals the class of bat and the initial Y position, which I'm going to say is 1. All right, so let's run that. Nothing should have changed. Okay, it's not crashed, it's not gone zzz, so that's all right. So somewhere in this, so we've drawn the circle, so this bit draws the ball, so we'll leave that bit drawing the ball, but after it's drawn the ball we want to draw the bat. So drawing the bat is going to be pretty much the same. So let's we've got to go to the display, PicoDisplay module, do rectangle. Whoops. Alright, so it works the same way as the ball. It's got an X and it's got a Y, and it's actually got two distances. Okay, so let's say display rectangle. We always want it to be at the start of the screen, but we want it to be at the bat's Y position. And then let's make it 10 wide and 25 deep. All right, so we'll just run that. Hopefully that will work. Let's just play that. All right, so there you go, a little bat at the top of the screen, and I want to make that white. Now this pen here is the ball pen, but let's just set the pen for the color here, and I think all I have to do is, so if it's white it's going to be 255 255 255, and that should give me a white bat. Let's try that. Okay, too bright actually, burn a hole in the screen, so like I did with the LED, I'm going to set that to 100. And that should give me a greyish, there you go, so a greyish tint. The bat has a Y variable, so I can change that. It'll always be there at 0. And what I want to do really is move it so that, in fact I'll do it from down here, so that the Y and the X's move that bat. So all I've got to do is check for a button press. So I'm going to do that again after the ball code, but before I draw the bat. All right, so I'm going to use an if now, because I've got to get to the button code again. Display to access Pimoroni's PicoDisplay library, and it is pressed. Whoops. It is pressed is the, oh dear, is pressed is the procedure, and then we've got to pick up a value for the button. Now you get that again from the display. There's a constant in it, I think it's called a constant. Display dot button Y. If display is pressed button Y, then looking at this bit up here, we've got a colon after the if, and then the next thing's on the other side. So if the button is Y is pressed, then I'm just going to say bat Y. Oh, bat Y equals bat Y plus 1. There's a better way of doing this, but this will do for the moment. So let's run that and see if that compiles without an issue. Yes, so if I push this, something should happen. There you go. But of course that will go all the way off the screen and get lost forever, and X doesn't bring it back. So let's do it exactly the same again, but for the X. So all I need to do is duplicate that, paste it down there. So if is pressed button X, then bat Y equals -1. All right, so it looks like this button is pressed might have some debounce in it already, but of course this is going around the loop really quickly, so it doesn't really make much odds. I originally thought I might want to put a timer in here, but anyway, that works. So there you go, X and Y, but X takes it off the screen and Y takes it all the way off the screen. So the one thing that I need to do is just do it so that it has a boundary at the screen. So to do that, let's just say, and I normally get these the wrong way round, so we can add an and here, and bat Y is greater than 0. All right, so bat.y is greater than 0. And on this one, I'm going to put bat.y is less. Oh, this is the wrong way around, isn't it? Anyway, is less, so I'll sort the directions out in a minute. bat.y is greater than 0 and bat.x is greater than. Now up here we have defined the height and the width of the screen, so all I need to do here is height. Remember, this is a funny orientation, so height doesn't really work. So let's try this. See whether I've done it. No, I haven't. So that now y doesn't work and that doesn't, so I need to do this the other way around. So I want to, if I want to add 1, I want to add 1 if it's less than the height of the screen, and then I want to take away 1 as long as it's more than 0. All right, so let's try that one, and that should have sorted that out. So there you go, I've got my paddle. Whoops, no. All right, so that one works. What have I done wrong with the other one? So as long as it's less than, I know what it is. It's the width of the bat. All right, so I've just got to add the width of the bat. So the width of the bat here, we could have put that in a variable, but there you go, width of the bat is 25. So up here I'm going to put equals height minus 25, which will stop it going off the edge of the screen. So run that again, try that. So it doesn't go one way and it only goes that way. Excellent. All right, now, so the thing is, what we need to do is make it so that when the ball gets to the edge of the screen, forget about the bat at the moment, when the ball gets to the edge of the screen, that's game over. I'm not going to bother with a game over, but what I'm going to say is if it hits the edge of the screen, the LED's going to come on. So let's try that. So how do I work out whether it's at the edge of the screen? So up here is where we move the ball. First of all, I've got to check that that ball isn't at position 0. So let's do that first. So I need to go if ball, so if ball x is less than or equal to 0, then and then display set LED, and let's set it to red, so 255 0 0. So if we hit the edge of the screen with that, the red LED will come on. Let's try that if I've got that right. Oh, I had to have a really weird angle ball. Right, let's try it, reset it, get another. There you go, there's a bit of a cuter angle. There you go, so when it hits the side of the screen we go red. All right, now I may as well, because that's a bit jarring, I may as well put something else in for a reset. So let's grab this if display button is pressed code, and we can have this anywhere. Let's have this after we've drawn the bat. So if display is pressed button B, then I don't need the bat bit. B, then, and then where was my red code? Display set red. All right, so if button B, then display set LED and set it back to 0. Okay, so let's try that. So the red light should go off to begin with. Then we've got, oh, good angle. Bing, and then let's press button B and it goes off. All right, now that bit that's just happened, which is perfectly on cue, what we've got to do is not set the red LED when it hits the bat. All right, so let's just reset that for the moment. I'm going to stop that running so we don't get the bright red light on. So somewhere here we've got this thing, so we've got to do something if ball is X, but I don't want to do the something if the ball's within the range of the bat. All right, so let's put another if in here. So I want the LED to go on only if it's within this range. So it's going to be something like if ball Y is greater than bat Y, or ball Y is less than bat Y, then set the display. Now this is sort of right, so this will go to the center of the ball down here. I think this draws it from the very center of the ball. Let's just assume it does. The circle is from the center, because it's got a radius, so maybe that's the centre and the radius. So let's just think about the centre of the ball, irrespective of the ball size. Now the bat is always 25 wide. So what we've got to do to so one bit of this, if it's anywhere within a certain bit of the bat, so if the ball is bigger than not just the y position of the bat, but the y position plus the width, so 25. So any of those pixels within 25 pixels of the start position now should be the bat hitting the bat. So this is a very rudimentary game, this is, but I'm just modifying the code that's already there to try and get this working. So let's see if that runs. Yeah. All right, now I've got to show some skill. All right, so the red one goes on there to begin with. Let's get an acuter angle. Okay, but slower. Might be able to do this. So hopefully, there you go. All right, so it hit the bat. If I get it in the vicinity of the bat, then it's fine. All right. So at least we've got that red light working now, and that's good. So one more thing I want to do. So forget about the red light anymore. We've got a reset for it as well, so you could play again. But I just want the ball to stop, the ball to disappear. All right. And there's a reason with this, but so let's make the ball stop. Let me stop that again. So the ball up here has a direction X and a direction Y. So when this hits the button, we could stop the ball moving by just making that direction X and a direction Y, which is how much it moves each time, to 0. Let's here. So when that, I'm going to leave the lead in for the minute, but we're going to say ball, direction X equals 0, and ball, direction Y equals 0. So every time the ball moves here, it's added to the X position, the direction of X and direction of Y is added to that. Okay, so because I have reset those, it should stop the ball dead in its tracks. So let's try that. Right, so when it hits, bang, ball stops. Excellent. The loop's still going, but the ball stops. Now there's a reason I want to do it this way. So that's stopped the ball, but to be honest, I don't want the ball to end up there. I want the ball to go off screen somewhere. So let's just say ball X equals 500 and ball Y equals 500. Okay, so let's run that again. Slow one. Run that again. All right, so bing, gone. End of game. All right, so I could just leave the game like that, and to be honest, that's pretty much the game. It shows all the buttons working. We've got a reset. I mean, obviously I could make it so that if you hit B, it added a random direction to the X and Y again to sort of reset the game and start it off again, but I'm not going to do that because I'm just going to here, let's comment out that, and just for a laugh I'm going to change the number of balls that we've got. So where was the balls? In range 0 to 1. So hopefully now if I change it to 2 and run it, we have 2 balls. A much more skillful game. Although not when you've got a ball like that. Let's try that again. Some different angles. Oh, and again. Alright, so we've got a fast little ball and a much slower ball there. Of course, and as soon as the ball goes off, it disappears, and this game is going to keep going for a long time. Alright, of course, because of that, we can change that to any number really, can't we? So, yeah, maybe we'll try that later. Alright, so just a couple of other things that people have commented on is just that we were looking at the GitHub for this Pico display, and actually there's this unfinished stuff on GitHub. I don't know who's responsible for this, I can't work it out, but this has got a much more in-depth tutorial, well, manual about setting up this Pico display, and explains it much more, and it's got things like how to access the buttons. That's the code I was using. Indeed, that's the code that I copied. And also they've got things like how to, on the display, not just do text, but you can do lines, and you can do, although the lines are very rudimentary at the moment, the lines only can be horizontal, and that's at the moment when I record this, but you can also put characters as well as strings, which we've already used. Alright, so if you've enjoyed this, please subscribe. It's the first little game I've written on the Pico display running on the Pi Nano. Thanks for watching.